Welcome to the Nginx official tutorial series. In this video, we'll show you how to use Nginx to serve static content. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go to the etc Nginx directory, where you'll see all the configuration that's relevant to Nginx stored. Within this directory, we want to go to the conf.d subfolder, which is where we're going to store all of our specific configuration unique to our sites. Within this folder, you'll see two files listed here. One is default.conf, and that comes in when you install Nginx, and that's the code for the welcome to Nginx page that we saw and that you see when you first install Nginx. The second is www.example.com.conf, and that's a file I just created that's going to show the example of how to use Nginx to serve static content. We recommend that you follow this format for the file naming, which is just the domain of the site .conf, and I'm just using www.example.com in this example .conf. So I'm going to edit this file. Within this file, we see a number of key directives, and stepping through them, the first one is server, and that defines the virtual server context and lets Nginx know what port, IP address, host name, and other information to listen on, which is all specified within the enclosed blocks. Next, we're going to skip past the listen directive. We'll come back to that, but we'll define what the server name does, and server name defines the host name that Nginx should be associating this virtual server to. So if Nginx, in this case, gets a request for www.example.com, it'll be handled by this virtual server. The listen line above it tells Nginx what ports to listen to for this virtual server, and here we've defined the standard port 80. We haven't specified an IP address here, which is acceptable, and we'll instruct Nginx to bind on all IPs on the system. If you want Nginx only to bind on a specific IP, you would list the IP address there before the port in IP:port format. The default server tells Nginx, or lets Nginx know what to do in the case a user comes in, for example, trying to access the site on the IP address and it doesn't match any host name that's previously in the system. The default server will be used. Next is the location block. And here we have location /, so we're just saying that everything within this context and these enclosed blocks applies to the entire site. We can also put in location blocks for specific locations, so we can say location /A we do something, and location /B we do something else. And there's a lot you can do with location blocks, but we're here just using it in a very simple format. The next directive is the root directive, which specifies the directory on the file system where the files are actually stored. And so now if a user comes into www.example.com/file1.html, for example, Nginx will then look on the file system under /user/share/nginx/html for that particular file and serve it if it does exist, and of course the 404 if it doesn't. The next is the index directive, and that's what Nginx will use if the user doesn't actually specify a file. So if the user comes into just www.example.com, Nginx will then attempt to serve index.html, and it will search the specified root folder, the line above it, for index.html, and if that's not found, then it'll look for index.htm, and if that's not found, then it'll serve a 404. And of course you save that file, and then you do an Nginx -s reload, and that's how you know, and that's how you restart Nginx to take in this new configuration. And that concludes this tutorial on how to use Nginx to serve static content.